In this video I go through how to make a cracked asphalt. We also make border from sand and vegetation, then we make a fake border with pigment, and finally we build and weather an outdoor toilet. And here's the first tip. At IKEA you can find cheap photoframes where you can attach your diorama, like this ribba. And before making the asphalt, I sketched a roadside parking lot where the toilet and car would be located. I used Ammo's asphalt texture, which is great stuff right out of the can. You should try to make asphalt as thin and straight as possible. You can't see in the video, but I smoothed the surface with a bigger spatula. After a day when the asphalt texture had dried, I drew cracks on it and pressed the grooves with tool intended for working with clay. After that I finished the grooves with Tamiya's black panel liner. After that I added light earth texture from AK's terrain areas to the edge where the rocks and vegetation will be. I made a test piece which was actually a very reasonable idea and I recommend it. I made it with different colored soils and stones and vegetations, however I had a dark soil in my mind, so the light texture had to be painted brown. From the test piece I chose the kind of gravel where there are stones only on the edge and there is more grass. I ended up making the grass from the mixture of two different colors. Before gluing the stones, I marked the places again, and after that I spent a good while gluing, arranging the stones. The glue is ordinary hobby glue. The sand is collected from a nearby gravel pit. If you do the same, I recommend washing the sand before use. If you don't wash the stones, they won't stick properly because surfaces are dusty. Finally I pressed the stones to ensure that they would all stick together. Here are different types of vegetation from a company called Paintforge. Them seem to be quite affordable and the quality is good. The glue holds on and so on. I will use this company's products again. A little later I will show what the mixture of the two turned out to be. The grass in the back is very bright green, almost potable green. The plant's glue seems to stick well to a clean surface, so I am not going to put glue on them at all. I put all the plants at this point and next it was time to lay the grass. I made a 50-50 mix of early autumn and bright green grass. This way it didn't become too green but naturally green. I used the glue intended for tough gluing, which I also used to glue the stones. I added the glue little at a time because there was no rush here. I couldn't really imagine how the stone edging looks like on the asphalt, and I concluded that it looks a bit unrealistic. This is also emphasized by the fact that the asphalt looks little too new, so we needed to fix for that. So I think the problem here is that the stones looks a bit too much as if someone had broke them on top of the asphalt. In principle, a groove could have been milled into asphalt and filled with fine sand, but I thought that adding at this stage could bring some problems. So I thought I'd try Vallejo's natural sienna pigment, which is dry, to represent the sand edge. I was so satisfied with the result that I left the pigmentation, I did not change it. This is the first time I make something out of plywood for a diorama, so I thought I'd start with the easiest thing possible, the outdoor toilet. So this is 1.5mm plywood, which is quite easy to cut with a larger carpet knife. But I noticed when I made the first test version that the vertical grooves of the vertical boards should be made according to the grain of the wood. If you make grooves towards the grain of the wood, then they will break and the surface will be separated, or call it a hairy. The best tool for making grooves in vertical planking is a small round-headed tool. Anything sharp will cut the grain of the wood, resulting in hairy surface. I used tweezers whose end I had rounded with the file. For gluing I used Loctite scale-like instant glue, which seemed to work well for the wood. In principle, the interior of the toilet could have been decorated with, for example, a World War II temp poster or writings. but I decided to close the door because, of course. I thought for a long time about what I would use as a roof material, and felt roof came to mind. Asphalt texture is very suitable making it, and it turned out really well, even if I do say so myself. After that it was turn to paint the cabin, and I did it by remixing Ryefiel's aquacolor carmine red and reddish brown in a ratio about 50-50. In this way the color does not become too bright red. Finally I mix it in water. After painting, the fun part started. First I added Ultimate's algae wash to the lower part of the building. This takes some time, so I'll put it a little faster. After this I diluted the grey wash with the white spirit, which I used to treat the entire building around. And finally I added a darker exhaust wash to the individual boards. Here is the goal now, one wall that I made for practice when the washing had dried for a while. I started by moistening a cotton swab in the water and start to fade the green border, like this. This will take time and you may have to retouch, but luckily this substance is very forgiving. Next was processing of the dark boards. In the same way, cotton swab, but this time dipped in the white spirit, I start to fade the brush marks. Once again, patience is required, but at the end, thanks stands. I really thank you for watching and listening, and I also hope that you learned something new and helpful from this video. Please hit the like if you liked and subscribe for more. Peace out.